In this video, I'm just going to talk about predictive coding and pain. This can give people an explanation about why they experience pain when they're doing something that just doesn't make sense for them to get that pain with that activity, or actually no activity at all. Hi, my name's Coverdale. I'm a physiotherapist and author of The Pain Habit. I talk about all things pain and help patients change and let go of persistent pain. Welcome to the Pain Habit YouTube channel. If you're new to this channel, then click on the subscribe to keep up to date on all things pain. If you've got any comments or questions, just pop them in the section below and I'll do my best to answer them. So patients are often puzzled when their pain comes on with small physical activities or no real physical activity at all. Remember, the physical element of pain is always relevant, and there might be some structural changes to respect, whether that's in the neck or the back or the hip or the shoulder. It doesn't matter. If you've got findings that suggest something's there, or you've got proof something's there, and it's long after 3 months whether there was any trauma or there wasn't, then those findings are just scars on the inside. But depending how you feel about those things, depending on which people have told you about them, whether it's a scary MRI scan or whether it's an x-ray or a bursitis or a damaged disc or a slip disc or a seriously damaged A, B or C, whatever it is and the way it's been described, starts to create an image in your mind of that thing. It starts to give you feelings around it, and it attaches emotions to it. So if that was a really painful experience, or you experience that pain at a really emotionally painful time in your life, those connections are made. Once they're made, it means your brain can predict what that experience will be like if some of the cues around that time appear again. If it's a really painful experience, your brain doesn't want you to go back to it. It can warn you of that event or that impending doom by giving you the sensations that came around the same time you felt that pain. So you start to experience those sensations before there's actually the event, whether it's a physically painful time or emotionally painful time, whether that event's actually appeared again. So it becomes a really sensitive warning system, and it's there to protect us, and it keeps us at the top of the food chain. But actually sometimes it works not in our favour. It prepares us or scares us long before we need to be scared, and sometimes we don't need to be scared. Those fears and beliefs might have been implanted, it's hypnosis really, by people who did the best, but they're only based on their beliefs, and maybe their beliefs weren't quite right. And it's easy for medical practitioners to give those beliefs because we're trained in a system that actually funnels us to focus on predominantly the physical elements of people's pain. That is always relevant, but the wider picture of why that structure is still painful when it's not painful in others, or there's a period of time when any tissue trauma has passed, it should no longer be painful. Not that constant pain, that chronic persistent pain that comes in this client group, but neither should be those intermittent episodes of pain that come on without physical damage. My back comes on every 6 months, my shoulder hurts when I do A, B or C. These people can almost predict when their pain's coming on, and that's the brain delivering predictive coding. So it anticipates that the person starting that behaviour is going to continue on to the point where the pain is going to be so bad again. So it stops them on recognition of picking up the painting brush, of going to do the gardening, of going back to work. And those activities aren't necessarily painful in themselves, but if the person pushed too hard in those situations, if the emotional charge of the place that they're going into was linked to a pain, then that pain becomes part of the protective mechanism, stopping that person doing it again. It's fascinating listening to people's stories of where the physical pain is, but then ask them how they feel about that, how they were feeling before the pain came on, or once the pain came on, how they processed that and what they've been told about it. Some people have a really complex, intertwined fabric supporting pain, and some people have a simple belief you can turn off. It's crazy once they see the realization that actually they have control to reverse the pain. And with predictive coding, you're now looking at persistent pain not as structural damage alone. It's relevant, but it's how you perceive that structural damage, how you perceive those structural changes. When you change your perception of it, you don't have to change the structure. You can condition the structure with whatever process you want to follow in a graduated way that takes you towards your goal for that particular area of your body or particular function you want to achieve. You no longer need to fear it, just respect it. And when you retrain the brain and the body, and you do it together, you're not sitting in a room with your eyes closed saying, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, and this disc isn't there. It is there, but you don't need to fear it, and you start to step towards your fears for the context of that particular pain. You might do it on your own, you might do it with a physio, you might do it with a friend. You need to make sure that whoever you're working with knows your limits if you don't know your own. And sometimes that's the hardest part, because the people that often fall into this persistent pain cycle, it is no fault of their own. It's they conditioned themselves to push hard all their life. Or they've maybe conditioned themselves to be fearful all their life. So they are either maybe over-resilient for too long for a period in their life that triggers that pattern, or they may be too fearful for too long and that triggers the pattern. And we can fall into either bracket. It's maintaining that middle ground so we can deal with the ups and the downs and get back to that middle ground that basically gives us a healthy, pain-free life. It is possible, no matter how long you've had pain, no matter what physical structure, whatever diagnosis you have, that you really believe is the source of your pain. It's the focus of your pain. I understand, but the pain from it, if you can change your perception of it, can create predictive coding that means that that pain will no longer trouble you like it has, and the potential for it is that you can become pain-free. My name's Drew Coverdale. Thanks for watching this short video today. I don't care how much time you've always got a tiny bit of time to take the next step in your recovery. Go and have a thought, take a deep breath, do a small movement, change the way you feel, take a step in that direction that is putting you first, and make a habit of it.